Mercedes F1 ready for comeback at the Belgian Grand Prix. So we're going to be talking about that in today's video, so don't forget to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes F1 content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that red button down below. But let's get straight into today's story, because Mercedes had hoped for more in the first two practice sessions after the summer break. In FP2 they finished 6th and 8th, while in FP1 George Russell and Lewis Hamilton finished 4th and 9th respectively. Andrew Chauvelin admits the more speed needs to be found if the team is to take advantage of the fact that Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc are taking grid penalties. Quite a messy day with a bit of rain and a red flag, but we were able to get a read on the main issues to work on overnight, Chauvelin said. Our single lap performance clearly needs a bit of focus. Now by the time you're watching this video, the qualifying may already start happening or maybe even be finished by now. But I think according to Chauvelin, neither driver had a good feeling with the soft tire, and the team therefore struggled to get the tire up to temperature properly. There wasn't much useful learning on a long run given the conditions. We had the hard tire in the second session, which was particularly difficult in the cool and damp, but the medium was working reasonably well in FP1. Mercedes are keen to take advantage of the grid penalties of Verstappen and Leclerc, but Chauvelin admits the team has some homework to do to achieve this. Clearly there's an opportunity with the number of cars that are taking penalties, but we don't need to find a bit of pace overnight if we are to capitalize on that, said Chauvelin. So I think this is honestly fantastic, and I really do see where Mercedes is going with all of this. I think they are going to be in a very good spot, but they are going to need to do a lot in order to really achieve that. So Mercedes, speaking of Andrew Chauvelin again, he did have more to say when it comes to the F1 team, and they do have the opportunity thanks to the multitude of grid penalties around them this weekend at Spa, but they need to find a performance in their W13 if they are to make this happen. 6 drivers already have grid penalties thanks to engine changes this week in Belgium, and these include Red Bull, Verstappen, we also have Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, and McLaren's Lando Norris, all of whom looked quick on Friday. However, Mercedes' pace during Friday's running in Belgium was not that strong, with Lewis Hamilton and George Russell ending only in 6th and 8th fastest in the afternoon session. Now in the recent practice session P3, they actually did pretty well, and I think they still have a lot of improvements that could be made, but it's great to see that they are improving as the practice sessions go on. So Chauvelin, the track engineering director at Mercedes, says the team have a good idea in which direction they need to go with setup overnight, but they will need to find significant single lap race if they are to challenge for a place at the very front of the grid for the second race weekend in a row on Saturday. Quite a messy day with a bit of rain and a red flag, but we're able to read on the main issues to work on overnight. So, we talked about all that before, guys, and I think honestly what is coming for Mercedes is going to be very, very good. So even though they do admit that it was a bit of a rocky Friday and a couple of practice sessions, I still do think they have a great chance, especially coming into qualifying. So Mercedes a long way off at Spa F1, said Lewis Hamilton, with the team hoping to build on the momentum gained in recent races, which included George Russell's pole position at the Hungarian Grand Prix. It had felt that the weekend's event at Spa would offer it some good opportunities. However, both Hamilton and Russell struggled for pace in Friday's cold and damp practice sessions. Hamilton ended the afternoon session in 6th place, more than 1.3 seconds behind the pace-setting Red Bull Verstappen. Teammate Russell was 2 places further back, a further 2/10 adrift. Reflecting on their running, Hamilton said that Mercedes was not very quick and was struggling for an answer as to why. We're going out and giving it everything we got, he said. It could be tires, it could be tire temps, it could be wing level, it could be multitude of things. It doesn't feel disastrous out there, it's just way long off, but we often find this on Friday and things can change a little bit more on Saturday, so I hope that's the case. Hamilton and Russell need no reminding about how quickly things can be turned around from difficult Fridays, with the pair having secured their great result in Budapest after a troubled opening day. So I think they did a fantastic job with everything that has been dealt. Obviously the W13 isn't really up to standard that they are hoping for, but they have done a pretty good job so far. They did really good in the practice 3, I think, better than was expected, but the qualifying is where we're really going to see if they are capable of really pulling it all together. Now, it was a performance that had both left drivers still feeling as though something can be salvaged from the rest of the Belgian weekend. Russell said, "We're pretty used to having bad days, so let's see if we can turn it around. around, but I don't think there'll be any guarantees we can find the performance step that we found in the last race, let's say. Hamilton added, "We're just going to work hard tonight to analyze the data and try to figure out where we can get this car. It doesn't feel the same as it did as the last track live in qualifying kind of time, but Friday and Saturday morning it feels kind of similar to this now, so that gives me hope that we can turn it around." Russell in particular felt that if Mercedes could better get its tires into the right operating window, then a big chunk of performance could be found. "I think it's something we're struggling with quite a lot this season, to get the temperature into the tires," he explained. "I struggled quite a lot today with that on every compound we used, so in these conditions it is definitely something we need to work on, but it's something I know that you can find a huge amount of performance when you get in the right window." So there's a little bit of optimism there, but for sure the gap to Max and Ferraris is pretty extravagant. So do I think they can come back? I definitely think they do have a chance against Mercedes when it comes to coming up against Ferrari. They do have a pretty good chance of overtaking them if they are able to pull a lot of this off. Like we talked about before, there is a bit of grid penalties that are going on. So, there definitely is a little bit of hope for Mercedes to continue to go and to continue to actually push further and further. Now, when it comes to what really has to offer, I honestly think that George Russell and Lewis Hamilton do have the capabilities to pull something off, especially in the second half of this season, despite what has been going on so far. And I think they are going to get better as time goes on, which is honestly fantastic to see. Now, when it comes to all of this, I do want to talk about Mercedes' new lower and rear spoiler. So Mercedes continues its firm belief in the W13 project in Belgium. Brackley was the team that presented itself a major single seat modification going beyond the simple load adjustment of the Belgian track characteristics. In fact, the Silver Arrows are equipped with the box revisited in the Venturi Canal entrance section, so it will directly intervene at the bottom, which is a central area of contemporary Formula One's competitiveness. Brackley's engineering department has redesigned the grille in the Venturi Canal's entrance section. The outer bar has been reduced chord and therefore has a slight outward curvature, facilitating greater direction of air in the Venturi duct towards the diffuser, seeking to generate a larger load. For the same purpose, the various center elements of the Venturi grille itself have been redesigned to improve the induction of vortices at the bottom of the body and the vortex structure as a whole. Once again, Mercedes have a different development approach than the competition. In fact, the lower part of the hull represents the area where the aerodynamic load is directly created, but at the same time, the design of the sides adjusts the directing of the flows towards the rear in the outlet section of the diffuser, thereby limiting the work of the bottom itself. McLaren, Williams, and Aston Martin revolutionized the philosophy of the side parts in the first place, with hog pits limiting the capabilities of earlier chassis and also undercarriage drag. On the other hand, Mercedes, despite having to manage a very tapered and particularly limited car body in the process of drilling porpoises, continues to focus on the development of the fun without refusing to put the sides. The hypotheses on the table are many. It cannot be executed that the Brackley team is considering a radically different car in 2023 key, devoting a large part of its resources to it and thus avoiding overturning the current car. However, this is equally reasonable. The team still believes in the notion of pointy bellies, reinforced by technical guidance on the plank and changes to the following regulations that will reduce sensitivity to porpoises, thus helping the Anglo-German team extract maximum potential from the current concept. So, while waiting to see what the technical direction of the team will take in the near future, interventions in other areas of the vehicle continue to be recorded. The transition between the panels and the vertical strips of the end panels on the front wing have been improved. In an effort to reduce the pressure peak and its losses, as well as the quality of the flow directed towards the car body, in the back instead, check new low payload wing, different from those used so far. The wing keeps the main profile straight, but the upper flap has been modified in bowstring and in parallel, the outer vertical strips of the terminal panels have been redesigned in the new spot specification. They have straight rear edge and are no longer broken as before. So on top of all this as well, I do want to talk about Russell realizing the backlog to Max and the Ferraris is pretty big. So he actually said this in an interview. So he hoped Mercedes would come out to break some at the top, but the first two practice sessions made it painfully clear where the team stands. He said, "I think it's something that we have struggled with quite a lot this season to get the temperature into the tires," he revealed. "And we struggled a lot with that today, getting temperatures into every compound we used." Russell is hoping for improvements soon so he can be close to the competition over the course course of the weekend. It's definitely something we need to work on, and if we get that, there is performance. The gap to Max and Ferraris is quite extravagant. We are suited to having bad days, so let's see if we can turn it around. Hamilton lucky in FP2. His teammate Hamilton got away well in practice at full speed. He was in danger of losing control of the car, but was spared a major crash. Mercedes can therefore look forward to Saturday with a relieving feeling. So honestly, this is fantastic to see when it comes to what Russell and Hamilton have been doing so far. I honestly think they are going to get better as time goes on, especially as the season continues to go on. And I honestly think there is a lot to it when it comes to what they have achieved. So Mercedes are pretty in a good spot. As of making this video, practice 3 actually did just end, and giving you a quick review on what I saw from that, I think they did a very splendid job when it came to Mercedes. They obviously weren't where they wanted to be at the top of the ladder, but I do think they are getting slowly better, and maybe the conditions for not only just qualifying but also for the race may be different. Okay, so there are rumors that it may actually rain, and if it does rain, it does make it a more equal playing field. Now, the reason why I think that is so important is because we have seen Mercedes do very, very well, especially in rainy situations. They have been able to pull off double podiums in the past, like the last Grand Prix that we just had, where they were actually able to pull that off and get themselves a double podium, especially with that rain going on. So I think rain is really where Mercedes actually shine, and the actual Belgian Grand Prix, it does show not many straights, which is where Red Bull and Ferrari really do shine. However, Mercedes do really well against curves, twists and turns, all that good stuff. And I think Mercedes can take advantage of that, especially in this upcoming race. So by the time you're watching this video, guys, let me know down in the comments who you think is actually going to win. So qualifying is happening just as of making this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. So let me know down in the comments what you think and give me your opinions. And yeah, guys, I'll see you soon. Peace.